Hey guys, how y'all doing? Aaron here with you. Happy 36th birthday to me today, December 14th. My wife got me this book for my birthday. Metallica, Back to the Front. A fully authorized visual history of the Master of Puppets album and tour, written by Matt Taylor, foreword by James Hetfield, afterword by Ray Burton, which is Cliff Burton's father. And we get the back here. It says, released on March 3rd, 1986, Metallica's Master of Puppets album became an instant classic and announced the band as the most electrifying new voice in rock. 30 years later, the six-time platinum album is considered to be the high watermark of Metallica's incredible career, with songs like Battery, Welcome Home Sanitarium, and the title track Master of Puppets still a staple of their sellout live shows. Sadly, this huge successful period for Metallica was marred by a tragedy that shook the band to its foundation, the death of bassist Cliff Burton in a tour bus accident on September 27, 1986. And then it goes on just to talk a little bit more. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to open it here live for you guys to see it with me too. So it's in the plastic, so I'm going to... So I'm going to just unveil it here. This book's expensive. Here in Canada it says $70 Canadian, so it wasn't cheap. But as soon as I heard that this book was out, I wanted it. Good old Cliff. A lot of very personal photos in here. Probably biographies of the band members and whatnot. Definitely going to be really good reading if you like reading. There's Cliff, the legend. So to talk a bit about the Master of Puppets damageinctour, this album was released, like they said, on March 3rd, 1986. But the funny thing about it is that Master of Puppets was recorded from September to December 1985. And at the Metal Hammer Festival in September of 85, James said to the crowd, "Do you want to hear a new song?" And he said it's going to be from the album Master of Puppets. It should be out around Christmas time. And the song that they played was Disposable Heroes. So that was the song that they debuted at the Metal Hammer Festival in 1985. The first time they ever played it. And I think it's only one of maybe two times they played it with Cliff Burton. If I'm not mistaken, they've only played Disposable Heroes twice with Cliff live. Yeah, so he said at that show that the new album should be out around Christmas time. So he's thinking Christmas of 1985. So why it was delayed till March 86, I don't know. It could be mastering or production, post-production issues, and why they took their time releasing it. But this album made Metallica. It put them on the path to quite success. It was their last tour as a supporting act. They opened for Ozzy from March, I believe, until June or July of 86. They also toured with Metal Church and Anthrax. After they played the summer tour with Ozzy, they decided to do some European tours, and I believe that's where Anthrax and Metal Church were supporting them. If I'm correct, Anthrax and Metal Church. And they played their last show with Cliff Burton on September 26, 1986. Now they had John Marshall fill in for guitar for James for almost 2 months because he broke his arm skateboarding. And that wasn't the first time he had done that, actually. And Cliff's last show, September 26th, James returned to playing rhythm guitar one last time. So it's like he had one last time to play with Cliff before Cliff died the next morning, September 27th, 1986. It's just kind of neat how James was able to return to play rhythm that one last time with Cliff. We all know the story about what happened with Cliff. You know, they drew cards to see who got the choice of bunks, and Cliff drew the ace of spades. and he chose Kirk's bunk. In doing so, it killed him and saved Kirk Hammett's life. So Kirk should be thanking every day that he's alive, because that would have been him that died. And the funny thing about it is if you watch the Behind the Music from 1998, Kirk says that on the European tour they had a very bad bus. And by all accounts it was a bad bus. But the funny thing is, in an interview from early '86 with Cliff, I believe it was from June of '86, Cliff was saying that touring has gotten a lot better now, that they have a better bus. Now, I'm not sure if the bus they had with the Aussie tour was a really good bus, and the one they had on the European tour was a bad bus. But it's kind of ironic that he says they had a better bus, when in fact, if it is that particular bus for the European tour that killed him, then it really wasn't a good bus, because they had to make their own bunks and whatnot. They had to put cardboard over the windows so they could sleep. Their bunks were pretty much just bolted in, I guess, from what their sound tech guy was saying, that they put cardboard over the windows and whatnot so they could sleep. And they have a front lounge, a back lounge and whatnot. And Cliff said, I want your bunk tonight, Kirk. Kirk said, fine, I'll sleep up front. It's better anyway. It's how he put it on the VH1 Behind the Music. And the rest, they say, is, history. So I'm not sure in that interview if Cliff was talking necessarily about the bus. I think he's probably talking about the Aussie tour in '86, in the summer of '86, saying that the tour bus they had there was a better bus than what they were used to having for touring on their past tours. But when they got to Europe in '86, they had a different coach company that's they rented a bus from their management. I don't believe the fact that where's the back of it? I don't believe for a second that black ice killed Cliff Burton. I never believed that. I never believed that story on account of the fact that James said that there was no black ice to be found, none to be seen. He walked for miles and miles looking for this black ice and whatnot. And then they also thought that the guy might have been drunk. I think, my own personal opinion, this is just my personal opinion, I think he fell asleep at the wheel and woke up, but when he woke up it was too late, so he tried to overcorrect the bus to get it on track, and in doing so brought the back end around and it started flipping, and boom, it eventually landed in the ditch, threw Cliff halfway out of the window, and Cliff is halfway out of the window, and the bus, this is his legs, and he's halfway out of the window and the bus rolls over, and then it crushes him, kills him. There's debate over whether or not Cliff was killed instantly, because whenever they brought a crane to lift the bus up, the crane fell back down on the ground and landed on Cliff a second time. So if it didn't kill him the first time, and he was completely, unconscious but still alive, it killed him the second time because it landed on him a second time. They didn't pull his body out quick enough before the crane slipped and it fell back on the floor again, so technically the bus landed on him twice. That's just incredibly sad. But pray to God that he did die after the first impact, which I fully believe that he did, I guess, die from the first initial impact, because I don't know who could have survived that. It's such a violent death. By all accounts, they said he never woke up. And if you're gonna go, I think the best way to go is not knowing what is happening to you. Like it's like to think about Dimebag Darrell. Dimebag Darrell was 20 seconds into a song, but he was turned backwards facing his amp as the gunman stormed across the stage and shot him in the head 5 times. So technically Dimebag Darrell never even seen what came at him. He just felt the impact. And if you've ever watched the video of his death, you can literally see Dimebag Darrell fall to the floor. If his camera would have been a little bit to the left, you would have seen Dimebag Darrell getting murdered, shot in the head and falling. You see the bodyguard pull this heavy guy off, and as he's pulling this guy off, you can see Dime just collapse to the floor. It's terrible. It's another tragedy that shocks me to this day. It's part of my Twitter name, at Cliff Dime Randy. Cliff Burton, Dimebag Darrell, Randy Rhodes. So yeah, I'm definitely going to have a good time reading this book. I actually have a personal photo that I bought, holy geez, probably 15 years ago, from April of '86. New Haven, Connecticut. I believe it was April something, '86. I got two personal photos of Cliff Burton on stage from this show. And there was a guy who's on Twitter around the anniversary of Cliff's death who said that he was at that show. And I said, you know what? I'm positive that my photographs are from that show. I said, let me look into my collection. I'll get back to you. I searched for 2 days, high and low, and sure enough, I found the two pictures, and they were from that show, and I sent them to him, and he said, yeah, that's the show. This is exactly what I remember. He's I haven't talked to him in a long time, but he's a award-winning mixer, producer guy for a lot of major artists. I'm wearing my new shirt as well. It says, "My daughter's battle is my battle, supporting her until she wins," and it's gold. Because if you follow me, you know that my daughter, who's just turned 3 in September, has cancer in her brain. So my wife got this shirt custom made for me for my birthday today as well, for my 36th birthday. Yeah, that's really sad. If you don't know about that, I made a video about it before, and it was just me crying pretty much. But anyhow, yeah, Master of Puppets 30th anniversary. So this would have came out in 2016. It's, let's see how many pages it is. "275 pages. Now, James had said that when they were doing research for this book, that he's seen pictures that he's never seen before. And if you look at the 4 pictures there of all 4 of the guys, I haven't seen Lars, James, or Kirk's, but the one of Cliff Burton I have, because I've been a Cliff Burton fanatic since I can remember, and way back a long time ago I started downloading every Cliff Burton picture I ever could see. I have a CD full. I must have thousands of pictures of Cliff Burton. So I'm going to be surprised if I don't see, I mean, as far as personal pictures, there's going to be a lot in this book that I haven't seen. But as far as professional pictures that were taken by Ross Halfin, who was their official photographer back then, I've probably seen most of the official photographs, but it's going to be interesting to see a lot more of the personal photographs that are going to be in here. I've got a lot of personal photographs too. I mean, I got one of Cliff working on his van, the Grasshopper. They named it the Grasshopper. He's working underneath it, and he's probably got a cigarette in his hand or a joint in his hand, and he's kind of looking under the hood of his Grasshopper. I got a lot of personal pictures of Cliff. You know, him making a meal in his parents' apartment, giving the fingers to the camera, because Cliff never had his own place. He said, you know, why should he pay rent for a place that he's never going to be at, since he's always on tour? And Cliff never did buy his own apartment or his own house. He was told around the time he died that they had enough money, each member, they had enough money to go out and buy themselves a house. So Cliff at the time told his girlfriend, Corinne Lynn, to start looking for something, because they were going to be serious. They were probably eventually going to get married. They were a serious couple. He told her to start looking for a house. He couldn't believe the fact that they made enough money finally, after years and years of touring, after 3 albums, that they had enough money to go out and buy their own house. See, Cliff's main goals in life were to A, make it in music and succeed in music, and B, he really wanted to look after his parents, Jan and Ray Burton. Ray Burton is still alive. Jan passed in 1993. She was Metallica's biggest fan. He really wanted to take care of his parents. He loved his parents very much, and it's obvious when you look at and you hear Cliff's interviews and whatnot, and you talk or you see Ray Burton, you can tell who Cliff gets his mannerisms from. He's definitely Ray Burton's son, and he's a real cool guy, Ray Burton. I would love to meet him someday. I know it'll probably never happen, but I'm sure he's very proud of this book, because it just brings Cliff back to the front, you know, of the Metallica world and the fans, you know, the eyes of the fans back to the front, is, you know, a line from Disposable Heroes, which is my second favorite Metallica song, by the way. My first is Welcome Home Sanitarium. Back in 86, James said they lifted that riff from Sanitarium from a band which they will call Nameless. But now, in this day and age, we do know who that band is. It's Bleak Host. The song's called Rainbow Warrior. Or it's Rainbow Warrior Bleak Host, I forget. I think it's Bleak Host, the band. The song's called Rainbow Warrior. Anyways, listen to that song. I made a video about it personally. It's got over, I think, 10,000 plus views. And it's very, very similar to the riffs and whatnot. Metallica's version is way, way better, you know, way cooler than what they had done. But James said that the band that they lifted the riff from, they won't say the band's name back then. But now, we know, you know, in this day and age, we know who the band is. So like I said, Metallica, Back to the Front, fuller authorized visual history of the Master of Puppets album and tour. I gave you guys a little history about the tour. I'm going to have a great time reading this. I can't remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah, for Cliff and his parents. You know, he got to take care of his parents in life, but in death, you know, his royalties went to his parents after he died, and so his parents were really looked after by the Metallica guys. You know, they made sure that Cliff's parents were taken care of, and that's what's really important. You know, the fact that Cliff's memory lived on, and his memory still lives on, and all the people like us. I play bass, I play guitar, I play drums. I can play anesthesia, but it's crazy as hell when the drums kick in. So yeah, it's going to be a really cool book. So thank you, hon, for this book. And I know I didn't show much of it, but I want to keep it in the best condition. I just want to give you guys a little bit of backdrop of the Damage Inc. tour that this book is talking about. It's hard to believe that Cliff's been dead for, you know, 32 years when he passed at the age of 24. So sad. Anyways, happy birthday to me, 36 years old. This video got to be a little bit longer than I wanted it to be. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.